Hello and welcome. My name is Elisa Di Napoli and I am a holistic clinical hypnotherapist and personal development coach. And this is part 3 of a series of videos about relationships and about how to find the love you deserve, and about also in the process of doing that, uncovering and stopping repeating dysfunctional relationship patterns. So if you haven't seen the other 2 videos, do go back now, or these videos might not make a lot of sense. Now, first of all, what I want to talk about today is the concept of responsibility. Are you taking responsibility in your relationships? Or in what way are you not taking responsibility in your love life? This is a very important question because it's very easy to blame. To blame our partners, to blame society, to blame ourselves. But what good does that do? I believe that the most important thing is always to take responsibility, the ability to respond consciously to what happens and to how we feel as well. Now, I'd like you to make a mental picture of the person that you're dating right now and ask yourself, if this person, as they are today, as they function today, warts and all, did not change at all, would you still want to be with them in 5 years? It's important to be honest, to have the courage to really face reality. Have a good look at yourself. Be honest. Repeating destructive behavior is simply a form of drama. This cycle of repetition is this predictable script that will inevitably always end up in the same way and repeat again and again until you actually say, you know what, enough of this. So it's important to focus on your own behaviors, your own feelings. The only thing you can control. This is how you will get the love life you're after. So the 3 elements to change, in my opinion, are, first of all, awareness. You need to be aware of what you're actually doing wrong. Or what your habits are in relationships. Go back to the previous 2 videos. What do you identify with? What spoke to you the most in those videos? Think about the last relationship you had and ask yourself, what were the earliest warning signs, that could have tipped you off to a potential problem. What did you actually do with these signs? And what could you have done? And what do you want to do the next time? How did you respond? And how do you want to respond? Are you ready to change? And what have you already done to attempt changing the patterns that you've become aware of? The second element is behavior change. You need to change your behavior, of course. Once you are aware of your old patterns, your old dysfunctional patterns, then you need to change your behavior. How do you do that? Well, now you've got the awareness, you need to pay attention. So you catch yourself. When you are likely to get triggered to fall into the old patterns, and now you make a conscious choice to do something different. So the intention to change comes first, the awareness of those old patterns, and then comes the actual paying attention to what you're doing so you can catch yourself doing it and then make a choice to do something different. Now, if you think about this is the key to any pattern, any habit change that we want to make. It is very, very easy to continue to do the same thing again and again and again. But if you keep on doing that same thing again and again and again because it is familiar, you almost do it automatically, you're always going to get the same result, aren't you? Because doing the same thing over and over again and hoping for a different result is basically madness. So here comes the moment of stopping. Imagine you're at a fork in the road. You could go left. You know that road really well. You've gone down that road a million times. Where does it end up? In a rubbish dump, so to speak. Then you can have a look at the right road. What's on this right road? This is a new possibility. This is a new possibility for a new behavior and therefore a new outcome. You need to be very aware of what that is, because if you only focus on what you don't want, you're only going to get more of the same. Now, the third and final stage is identity change. This is where you really reap the rewards of your hard work. Now, we engage in destructive behavior because in some way or another, they are woven in our identity. We believe that's just who we are, okay? So you need to bring some doubt into this. You need to actually shift this and ask yourself, is this really true? Do I want it to be true? Is it helpful for me to think it's true? You need to see yourself in a different light. You need to think of yourself as someone who is capable of a good, healthy, lasting, mutually beneficial relationship. And even more importantly, someone who's not going to accept anything different from that. Someone who's not going to put up with anything less than that. Is going to say no to anybody or any situation that's going to end up with the rubbish dump. And that's how you begin to really love yourself. You're doing this for yourself. I want to ask you, what is that reward for you? How do you see your life changing when you do the work? Write down the answers. It's not enough to just think about it. The thought just gets lost among an ocean of other thoughts. But what's really important is to actually externalize. So write it down. Write down the answer to these questions I'm asking you. You can go back to the blogs and the questions will be there. So you can get time to really think about it and reflect. You know, what do you think is keeping you from this reward? What's the obstacle? What's standing in your way? What fear might you be fighting in this moment? And what behavior do you need to change in order to reach your reward? The kind of relationship you want, in other words. And where do you sit right now? What do you think your identity tells you to expect from your romantic relationships? Remember, the expectations are very, very powerful. So go back to the previous videos, the previous blogs, and ask yourself, am I ready to change? And then as you look at the different types of relationship repeating patterns, notice what spoke to you the most. What did you relate the most? What was there? Oh, yeah, that's me. And then, ask yourself, what behaviors would be the hardest for you to tackle and change when it comes to responding to the old kind of man and woman that you're attracted to? Remember, we're attracted to the familiar, but that's not necessarily the road we want to go down. That's just that old road to the rubbish dump. It's very familiar. But if you want a different outcome, you have to decide to be courageous. Because courageousness doesn't come from not being afraid. It comes from being afraid and doing it anyway. Really allowing yourself to get out of your comfort zone and staying with the sock, like Brené Brown says. staying with the discomfort. It is easy to run away, avoid, and we live in a society that is all about that and creates addictions, where you try to avoid a negative or uncomfortable feeling, but it doesn't really work. And instead, what would happen if you actually sat with it, sat with the discomfort, and became even curious about it, like an external observer, looking at it from the outside? Why do I feel this way? What's this familiar feeling? What's this about? How am I looking at the situation? Am I looking at the situation from a filter of a negative belief? Or is this the truth beyond any shadow of a doubt? Now, of course, there's a lot more to cover, but this is a very good start. And I would encourage you to really start now. Don't delay any further. There's no better moment than to start now. So go back and look at all the questions. Start your self-discovery so that you can become more aware of your underlying relationship patterns, and then check yourself, pay attention, and discover, I'm doing that thing again. Now, what do I want to do instead? So this requires patience. It requires intention to change, attention to what you're doing, and then exploring your alternatives and believing that you can do this with an attitude of self-love, of being kind to yourself. Now, there's a lot of other things I'd like to discuss, a lot of other possibilities for videos, and I might just list them in rather than talk about them. Otherwise, I'll talk for another 10 minutes. I don't want this video to be too long. But if you're interested in any of these subjects, please do let me know. Write me a question, subscribe to my channel, of course. And until then, get to work, and all the best to you.